Welcome to our newest episode about the most epic warrior types of all time. Subscribe our channel and enjoy. Prepare to be taken on a journey through the ages as we explore the world of warriors. From the battlefields of ancient civilizations to the modern-day military, soldiers have played a vital role in shaping the course of history. In this fascinating story, we will delve into the most well-known and celebrated warrior types of all time, examining their tactics, weaponry, and the legendary battles that they fought. Whether you're a history enthusiast or just someone who admires the bravery and courage of soldiers, you won't want to miss this captivating adventure into the world of warriors. So sit back, relax, and let us take you on a journey that will leave you in awe of the warriors that have shaped our world. The samurai were warriors who served the nobility in Japan from the 12th century to the late 19th century. These elite warriors were renowned for their fierce fighting skills, unwavering loyalty, and code of honor, known as Bushido. They were often depicted in full battle armor, which consisted of a helmet, mask, chest plate, shoulder pads, arm guards, and leg guards. The armor was often adorned with the samurai's family crest or symbols of their clan. The samurai's primary weapon was the katana, a long, curved sword with a sharp edge on one side. They were also skilled in the use of other weapons such as the bow, spear, and dagger. In battle, the samurai would often ride horses and charge into the enemy lines, wielding their katana with deadly precision. Their tactics were focused on quick and decisive strikes, often using surprise and misdirection to gain the upper hand in battle. The most famous battle involving the samurai was the Battle of Sekigahara in 1600, which established the Tokugawa shogunate as the rulers of Japan for the next 250 years. The samurai also played a crucial role in the Boshin War of 1868, which led to the end of the samurai era and the modernization of Japan. The Spartans were a warrior society in ancient Greece known for their fierce military prowess and discipline. They were known for their simple but effective armor, consisting of a bronze breastplate, a shield, and a bronze helmet with a distinctive red crest. Their armor was designed for mobility and protection, allowing them to move quickly on the battlefield while still being well protected. The Spartans were famous for their use of the phalanx formation, a tightly packed formation of soldiers who held long spears called sarissas. This formation was nearly impregnable, and the Spartans were able to defeat much larger armies through their discipline and coordination. They were also skilled in hand-to-hand combat and were trained to fight with a variety of weapons, including swords, spears, and shields. One of the most famous battles involving the Spartans was the Battle of Thermopylae in 480 BC, where a small force of Spartans held off a much larger Persian army for 3 days before ultimately being defeated. This battle has become a symbol of bravery and self-sacrifice, and the Spartans are often remembered as some of the greatest warriors in history. Mongol warriors were a nomadic people from the steppes of Mongolia who conquered much of Asia and Eastern Europe in the 13th and 14th centuries under the leadership of Genghis Khan and his successors. Mongol warriors were known for their horsemanship, archery skills, and brutal tactics. They wore leather armor and a distinctive pointed helmet, often adorned with fur or feathers. The primary weapon of the Mongol warriors was the composite bow, which was small and light enough to be used on horseback. They were also skilled in using a variety of other weapons, including swords, spears, and axes. In battle, the Mongols were known for their tactics of feigned retreats, where they would lure their enemy into a trap before turning around and attacking them with overwhelming force. One of the most famous battles involving the Mongols was the Battle of Ain Jalut in 1260, where the Mongols were defeated by the Mamluk Sultanate of Egypt. Despite this defeat, the Mongols continued to expand their empire and conquered much of China, Russia, and Central Asia. They were known for their brutality, often slaughtering entire cities and leaving nothing but destruction in their wake. Zulu warriors were a tribe of southern African warriors known for their bravery and military prowess. They wore little to no armor, relying instead on their speed and agility to evade enemy attacks. They carried a short spear called an ikalwa, which they used for thrusting and throwing, as well as a small shield made of animal hide. In battle, the Zulu warriors would often charge into the enemy lines in a formation known as the ibudo, where they would use their spears to break through the enemy's defenses. They were also skilled in hand-to-hand combat and would use their shields as weapons if necessary. One of the most famous battles involving the Zulu warriors was the Battle of Azanlawana in 1879, where a Zulu army of 20,000 warriors defeated a British force of 1,800 soldiers. The Zulu warriors' bravery and ferocity in battle have made them an enduring symbol of African resistance and military prowess. Overall, each of these warriors had their unique style, tactics, and weapons that allowed them to excel in battle. Their legacy has endured throughout history, and their stories continue to inspire and captivate us to this day. Janissaries were an elite unit of soldiers in the Ottoman Empire, established in the late 14th century. They were originally made up of captured Christian boys who were trained to become loyal soldiers of the Ottoman Empire. Over time, the Janissaries became a powerful political force in the empire, often involved in the selection of new sultans. The Janissaries were known for their distinctive uniform, which included a red jacket, baggy trousers, and a tall, pointed hat. They carried a variety of weapons, including a short sword, a musket, and a long, curved knife called a yataghan. In battle, the Janissaries were highly disciplined and organized. They were skilled in using their firearms to devastating effect, often firing in unison to create a wall of lead that would mow down enemy troops. They also used their swords and knives to deadly effect in close combat. One of the most famous battles involving the Janissaries was the Battle of Mohacs in 1526, where they fought against the Hungarian army. Despite being heavily outnumbered, the Janissaries fought bravely and helped secure a decisive Ottoman victory. Maori warriors were fierce fighters who lived in New Zealand and were known for their intricate tattoos and fearsome haka war dances. They wore little to no armor, relying instead on their speed and agility to evade enemy attacks. They carried a range of weapons, including spears, clubs, and short swords. In battle, the Maori warriors would often use a formation called the pora, where they would spread out and try to encircle their enemies. They were also skilled in using traps and ambushes to catch their enemies off guard. One of the most famous battles involving the Maori warriors was the Battle of Gate Pa in 1864, where a Maori force of around 230 warriors defended a fortified pa, or village, against a much larger British force. The Maori warriors' bravery and tactics, including the use of hidden trenches and decoys, helped secure a stunning victory. Viking warriors were seafaring raiders from Scandinavia who terrorized much of Europe between the 8th and 11th centuries. They were known for their distinctive helmets and armor, often decorated with intricate designs and symbols. They carried a range of weapons, including swords, axes, and spears. In battle, the Viking warriors would often use a formation called the shield wall, where they would link their shields together to create a wall of protection. They were also skilled in using their weapons to deadly effect, often using their axes to hack away at their enemies' shields. One of the most famous battles involving the Viking warriors was the Battle of Stamford Bridge in 1066, where a Viking force led by King Harold Hardrada of Norway was defeated by an Anglo-Saxon army led by King Harold Godwinson of England. Despite their defeat, the Viking warriors' ferocity and battle skills left a lasting impression on their enemies. Roman legionnaires were the backbone of the Roman army and were instrumental in the expansion of the Roman Empire. They wore distinctive armor, including a helmet, breastplate, and greaves. They carried a short sword called a gladius, as well as a pilum, a type of throwing spear. In battle, the Roman legionnaires would often use a formation called the testudo, or tortoise, where they would link their shields together to create a protective shell. They were also skilled in using their pilum to weaken the enemy's formation before charging in with their swords. One of the most famous battles involving the Roman legionnaires was the Battle of Alesia in 52 BC, where Julius Caesar led a Roman army against a Gaulish force led by Vercingetorix. The Roman legionnaires' discipline and superior tactics, including the construction of siege works, helped them overcome the Gaulish defenders and secure a decisive victory. Apache warriors were a group of Native American fighters who lived in the southwestern United States. They were known for their expert knowledge of the terrain and their use of hit-and-run tactics to ambush enemy forces. They wore little armor, instead relying on their speed and agility to evade enemy attacks. They carried a range of weapons, including bows, arrows, spears, and knives. In battle, the Apache warriors would often use their knowledge of the terrain to launch surprise attacks on enemy forces. They were also skilled in using decoys and other tactics to confuse and distract their enemies. Despite being vastly outnumbered in many battles, the Apache warriors' bravery and tactics often allowed them to emerge victorious. One of the most famous Apache warriors was Geronimo, who led a group of warriors in a series of raids against American settlers and soldiers in the late 19th century. Geronimo's tactics, including the use of hit-and-run attacks and his ability to evade larger American forces, earned him a reputation as a skilled and formidable fighter. Aztec warriors were a group of soldiers who fought for the Aztec Empire in Mesoamerica during the 14th to the 16th century. They were highly trained and skilled in hand-to-hand combat, using weapons such as the macuahuitl, a type of wooden sword with embedded obsidian blades, spears, bows and arrows, and slings. They also wore distinctive armor made of cotton or animal hides, including headdresses and chest plates adorned with colorful feathers. In battle, Aztec warriors often fought in close formation and were trained to take captives rather than kill their enemies. They believed that capturing enemies alive would provide them with more valuable sacrificial victims to offer to their gods. One of the most famous battles fought by Aztec warriors was the Battle of Tenochtitlan in 1521, where they defended their capital city against invading Spanish conquistadors led by Hernán Cortés. Despite being outnumbered and outgunned, the Aztec warriors fought fiercely, using their knowledge of the terrain to their advantage, but ultimately lost the battle. The Persian Immortals were a group of elite soldiers who served the Achaemenid Empire of ancient Persia between the 6th and 4th centuries BCE. They were chosen for their physical prowess, bravery, and loyalty to the emperor. The Immortals were equipped with a spear, a short sword, a bow, and arrows, and wore distinctive armor, including a leather or linen tunic, a bronze helmet, and a breastplate. Their armor was often adorned with gold and silver, reflecting their elite status. In battle, the Immortals fought in a tight formation, known as the shield wall, where they interlocked their shields to create a wall of protection. This tactic allowed them to resist enemy attacks and advance on enemy lines. One of the most famous battles fought by the Immortals was the Battle of Thermopylae in 480 BCE, where they fought against a vastly outnumbered force of Spartan warriors led by King Leonidas. Despite their defeat, the Immortals' bravery and skill in battle earned them a place in history as one of the most elite fighting forces of the ancient world. The Scottish Highlanders were a group of warriors from the Scottish Highlands who fought in various battles and conflicts throughout Scottish history. They were known for their fierce independence, their loyalty to their clans, and their distinctive dress, which included a tartan kilt, a shirt, and a sparran, a small pouch worn around the waist. In battle, Scottish Highlanders carried a variety of weapons, including the claymore, a two-handed sword, the targe, a small shield, and the dirk, a type of dagger. They were also skilled in using the terrain to their advantage, using the cover of hills, forests, and rivers to launch surprise attacks on their enemies. One of the most famous battles fought by Scottish Highlanders was the Battle of Culloden in 1746, where they fought against the British army led by the Duke of Cumberland. Despite their bravery and skill, the Highlanders were ultimately defeated, and their way of life was forever changed. Swiss mercenaries were soldiers for hire who served in various European armies during the 16th to the 18th centuries. They were known for their discipline, their skill with weapons, and their willingness to fight for the highest bidder. Swiss mercenaries were equipped with a variety of weapons, including pikes, halberds, swords, and crossbows, and wore distinctive uniforms, including a white doublet and breeches, and a colored sash indicating their employer. In battle, Swiss mercenaries used a formation known as the pike square, where they interlocked their pikes to create a wall of protection. This tactic allowed them to resist enemy charges and protect their own forces. One of the most famous battles fought by Swiss mercenaries was the Battle of Marignano in 1515, where they fought against the French army. Despite being outnumbered, the Swiss mercenaries fought fiercely, but ultimately lost the battle. Swiss mercenaries were highly sought after by European armies, and their reputation for discipline and skill ensured that they were always in demand. Today, the Swiss Guards, who serve as the personal bodyguards of the Pope, are considered the modern-day successors of the Swiss mercenaries. The Mamluks were a military caste that ruled over Egypt and Syria from the 13th to the 16th centuries. They were originally slave soldiers who were trained in the art of warfare and served as the personal guards of the ruling elites. Over time, the Mamluks gained power and established their own dynasties. Mamluk warriors were known for their exceptional horsemanship and their use of composite bows and swords. They were also skilled in hand-to-hand combat and were proficient in the use of spears and javelins. Mamluk armor consisted of a metal helmet, a chainmail shirt, and leather boots. One of the most famous battles fought by the Mamluks was the Battle of Ain Jalut in 1260, where they defeated the Mongol army and prevented their expansion into the Middle East. The Mamluks also fought against the Crusaders and played a crucial role in repelling their attempts to capture Jerusalem. Hoplites were citizen soldiers of ancient Greece who fought in a phalanx formation, with their shields overlapping to create a wall of protection. They were heavily armored, wearing a bronze breastplate, greaves, and a Corinthian helmet. Hoplites were armed with a long spear known as a dory and a short sword called a xiphos. Hoplite warfare was characterized by a series of charges and countercharges, with each side attempting to break the other's formation. The hoplite phalanx was a formidable sight on the battlefield, and their disciplined fighting style made them highly effective in battle. One of the most famous battles fought by the hoplites was the Battle of Marathon in 490 BC, where they defeated the Persian army and secured the independence of Athens. Hoplites also fought in the Peloponnesian War and were instrumental in the victories of Sparta over Athens. The Gurkhas are a group of soldiers from Nepal who have served in the British Army since the 19th century. They are known for their courage, loyalty, and fighting spirit, and have earned a reputation as some of the finest soldiers in the world. Gurkhas are skilled in the use of the kukuri, a curved knife that is the traditional weapon of the Nepalese people. They are also proficient in the use of firearms, and are trained in hand-to-hand combat and jungle warfare. Gurkha soldiers have served in many conflicts around the world, including both World Wars and the Falklands War. They are renowned for their bravery in battle, and have been awarded numerous honors and medals for their service. The Cossacks were a group of warriors who lived in the steppes of Eastern Europe and Russia. They were known for their horsemanship, their skill with weapons, and their independence. Cossack warriors were armed with a variety of weapons, including sabers, lances, and pistols. They wore distinctive clothing, including a fur hat called a papaka and a long coat known as a kaftan. The Cossacks played a crucial role in the defense of Russia, particularly during the time of troubles in the 17th century and the Napoleonic Wars in the 19th century. They also fought against the Ottoman Empire and played a role in the colonization of Siberia. Carthaginian warriors were soldiers from the ancient city of Carthage, located in modern-day Tunisia. They were known for their skill in naval warfare, as well as their use of war elephants. Carthaginian warriors were equipped with a variety of weapons, including swords, spears, and javelins. They wore helmets and armor made from leather or bronze. In battle, they fought in a formation called the phalanx, which consisted of a tightly packed group of soldiers who used their shields to protect themselves from enemy attacks. One of the most famous Carthaginian warriors was Hannibal, who led an army across the Alps to attack Rome during the Second Punic War. Hannibal's use of war elephants and his unconventional tactics made him a formidable foe, and he won several major battles against the Romans. Despite their military prowess, the Carthaginians were eventually defeated by the Romans, who destroyed their city and enslaved their people. However, the legacy of Carthaginian warriors lives on, and they are remembered as some of the most skilled and fearless warriors of the ancient world. The Maasai warriors were a group of fierce warriors from East Africa, known for their bravery and skill in combat. They were known for their distinctive red clothing and beaded jewelry, which was made from brightly colored beads and cowrie shells. They were equipped with spears, shields, and knives, which were made from materials such as iron and wood. The Maasai warriors were also known for their impressive jumping ability, which was used both in celebration and in battle. During battle, they would jump in the air and hurl their spears at the enemy, using their shields to protect themselves from counterattacks. They were also skilled at close combat, using their knives to strike at vulnerable areas of their enemies' bodies. The Knights Templar were a medieval order of knights who fought in the Crusades. They were known for their bravery and their impressive armor, which consisted of chainmail, helmets, and surcoats with the distinctive red cross of the order. The Knights Templar were also skilled in the use of a variety of weapons, including swords, spears, and axes. The Knights Templar were also known for their strict code of honor, which emphasized bravery, chivalry, and loyalty. They were sworn to protect pilgrims traveling to the Holy Land, and they fought fiercely to defend their cause. Despite their impressive fighting skills, the Knights Templar were eventually disbanded by the Pope in the early 14th century, and many of their members were imprisoned or executed. The Rajputs were a group of warrior clans from India, known for their impressive skill in combat and their strict code of honor. They were equipped with a variety of weapons, including swords, spears, and bows, and they were known for their impressive horsemanship. They were fiercely loyal to their rulers and their clans, and they were willing to fight to the death to defend their honor and their way of life. The Rajputs also placed a high value on personal courage and bravery, and they were known for their impressive feats of bravery on the battlefield. They were skilled in both ranged and melee combat, using their bows and arrows to soften up the enemy before charging into close combat with their swords and spears. They also placed a high value on honor and chivalry, and were known for their strict adherence to a code of conduct known as Rajputana Dharma. The Rajputs also had a long history of conflict with other Indian states, and many of their most famous battles were fought against other Indian armies. One of their most famous victories was the Battle of Haldigati, fought in 1576 against the Mughal Empire. In this battle, a small Rajput army led by Maharana Pratap was able to hold off a much larger Mughal force, inflicting heavy casualties on the enemy and earning a place in Indian history as a symbol of resistance against foreign invaders. The conquistadors were a group of Spanish explorers and conquerors who left an indelible mark on the history of the Americas. Their impact was felt across the continent, as they laid claim to vast territories, pillaged great treasures, and introduced new technologies, religions, and customs. The conquistadors were bold and fearless, driven by the promise of glory, riches, and power. One of the most distinctive features of the conquistadors was their weaponry and armor. They were heavily armed, wearing suits of armor that protected them from blows and projectiles. They carried swords and lances, which they used to great effect in close combat, as well as firearms, which gave them a decisive advantage over their opponents. The conquistadors were also supported by cavalry, who charged into battle with great speed and power, crushing the enemy lines and sowing terror and chaos among their ranks. The conquistadors were not only formidable warriors, but also cunning strategists. They often exploited the divisions between indigenous groups, playing one against the other to achieve their goals. They also used political and social unrest to their advantage, sometimes forming alliances with local leaders or exploiting their weaknesses to gain the upper hand. This was especially true in the early days of the conquest, when the Spanish were greatly outnumbered and outgunned. Kshatriyas, also known as the warrior caste, were a crucial part of ancient Indian society. They were born into families of warriors and rulers, and were trained from a young age in the art of warfare. The training included mastering various weapons such as swords, spears, bows and arrows, and chariots. They were also taught the art of hand-to-hand combat, horse riding, and other tactical skills necessary for battle. The Kshatriyas followed a strict code of conduct, which emphasized courage, loyalty, and a sense of duty towards their king and country. They believed in protecting the weak and upholding justice, and were known to show mercy to their enemies on the battlefield. The Kshatriyas were also expected to lead a righteous and virtuous life, and to set an example for their subjects. Kshatriyas played a significant role in shaping the political landscape of ancient India. They were involved in numerous conflicts between rival kingdoms and empires, and often served as the backbone of the military. They were instrumental in establishing and expanding many ancient Indian states, including the Mauryan and Gupta empires. One of the most famous Kshatriya warriors was Arjuna, a central character in the Hindu epic Mahabharata. Arjuna was a skilled archer and a master strategist, and his bravery and tactical genius were widely admired. He was known for his unwavering loyalty to his king and his country, and is still revered as a symbol of honor and courage in Indian culture. The Hwarang were truly a unique and impressive class of warriors in ancient Korea. They were not only fierce fighters but also well versed in the arts and philosophy, which set them apart from other warriors of their time. Their training was rigorous and intense, requiring them to excel in both physical and intellectual pursuits. They were trained in various weapons and combat techniques, including archery, swordsmanship, and hand-to-hand combat, which made them formidable in battle. But what truly made the Hwarang stand out was their deep spiritual discipline and devotion to a strict code of honor. They believed in loyalty, courage, righteousness, and humility, and they were trained to uphold these values in all aspects of their lives. Their pursuit of self-improvement and enlightenment through the study of literature, philosophy, and the arts helped them to become not just skilled fighters, but also wise and compassionate leaders. The Hwarang were instrumental in protecting the kingdom of Shilla from external threats and internal turmoil, and their contributions helped to unify the Korean peninsula. Their legacy has endured through the centuries, and they continue to be celebrated in Korea as symbols of strength, wisdom, and cultural pride. The French Foreign Legion has a unique and storied history, attracting volunteers from all over the world who are seeking adventure, a new start in life, or simply a chance to serve in a legendary fighting force. Legionnaires are expected to leave their past behind and adopt a new identity, as they are given new names and nationalities upon joining the Legion. They also swear an oath of allegiance to France and the Legion, and are willing to serve for at least 5 years, with the possibility of gaining French citizenship. The Legion is known for its distinctive uniform, which includes a white képi, dark blue jacket, and light blue pants. Legionnaires also wear a green beret, which is earned after completing the rigorous basic training program known as La Légion étrangère. The training is conducted at the Legion's headquarters in Aubonne, France, and lasts for several months, with recruits enduring grueling physical and mental challenges. The French Foreign Legion has participated in numerous military operations throughout its history, including the French intervention in Mali, the Gulf War, and the war in Afghanistan. The Legion has also been involved in peacekeeping missions and humanitarian operations, such as providing aid to victims of natural disasters. Despite its reputation as a tough and elite fighting force, the French Foreign Legion is also known for its camaraderie and sense of brotherhood. Legionnaires come from a variety of backgrounds and nationalities, but they all share a common bond and a commitment to the Legion's motto, Legio Patria Nostra, the Legion is our homeland. Scottish pikemen were a type of infantry that were widely used in Scotland during the 16th and 17th centuries. They were armed with long pikes and wore a combination of plate and leather armor. Scottish pikemen were known for their defensive tactics, using their long pikes to form a wall of points that could deter cavalry charges and other forms of assault. They were also effective in close combat, using their pikes as spears to thrust at their enemies. Scottish pikemen played a significant role in Scottish military campaigns, including the Wars of Scottish Independence and the Jacobite uprisings. Scottish pikemen were also referred to as Highland pikemen as they were primarily recruited from the Scottish Highlands. They were seen as a formidable force due to their fierce reputation and the skillful use of their long pikes. Scottish pikemen often fought in formations known as skiltrons, which involved forming a circular or semicircular wall of pikes that could effectively repel enemy cavalry. The skiltron formation was also used in defensive situations, as the long pikes could prevent enemy infantry from breaking through. Scottish pikemen were also known for their bravery and tenacity, with many accounts of their willingness to stand their ground against superior forces. The Scottish pikemen were an important part of Scottish military history, and their legacy can still be seen today in the traditional dress of Scottish Highland regiments. Ninjas were covert agents and mercenaries in feudal Japan who specialized in espionage, sabotage, and assassination. They were highly trained in a variety of skills, including stealth, disguise, and hand-to-hand combat. Ninjas often worked in secrecy and used unconventional tactics to achieve their goals, such as using poisons, explosives, and booby traps. They were known for their black clothing, which helped them blend into the shadows at night, and their iconic weapons, such as shurikens and katanas. Ninjas were also trained in a range of other skills, including disguise, misdirection, and intelligence gathering. They were experts at infiltration and could blend in with their surroundings, making it difficult for their enemies to detect them. They often worked in small teams or as individuals, relying on their quick thinking and improvisation to overcome obstacles and complete their missions. Ninjas were not only skilled in the art of assassination and sabotage but were also adept at psychological warfare. They often used fear and intimidation to demoralize their enemies, using their reputation for stealth and cunning to sow confusion and panic. Ninjas were a significant force in Japanese history and played a crucial role in the country's feudal period. They were hired by powerful daimyos and warlords to carry out covert operations and were often used to counter enemy spies and assassins. Even today, the legacy of the ninja lives on in popular culture, with their iconic black garb and stealthy movements continuing to fascinate people around the world. The Knights of Malta, also known as the Order of St. John of Jerusalem, grew to become one of the most formidable military orders in Europe during the Middle Ages. They were a religious order of knights who were dedicated to protecting the Christian faith and providing care to the sick and the poor. The knights were divided into various tongues or national groups, which were responsible for raising funds and providing military support to the order. The Knights of Malta were instrumental in defending Europe against the Ottoman Turks, who threatened to conquer much of Europe during the 16th century. The knights fought in several key battles, including the Siege of Rhodes in 1522 and the Great Siege of Malta in 1565, where they successfully repelled an Ottoman invasion force that was many times larger than their own. In addition to their military prowess, the Knights of Malta were also known for their humanitarian work. They established hospitals, orphanages, and other charitable institutions throughout Europe, and provided medical care and support to people in need. The order also played a significant role in the development of modern medicine, and many of its members were skilled physicians and surgeons. The Byzantine Varangian Guard was a unique and renowned unit in the history of medieval warfare. Composed of Viking and Scandinavian mercenaries, the Guard was formed in the 10th century at the request of Byzantine Emperor Basil II. The Varangians were considered some of the finest warriors of their time, and their reputation for bravery and military prowess made them highly sought after as mercenaries. The Varangian Guard was well equipped and well trained, with a distinctive uniform that set them apart from other soldiers. They wore a blue or red tunic with a yellow or gold trim, and often carried a large battle axe, a sword, and a spear. Their shields were round and made of wood or leather, and were often decorated with intricate designs. The Varangians were known for their loyalty and professionalism, and were considered an elite force within the Byzantine army. They were often used as personal bodyguards to the emperor, and played a significant role in many Byzantine military campaigns. They were particularly effective in naval warfare, where their skill with the axe and spear made them formidable opponents. Despite their reputation as fierce warriors, the Varangian Guard was also known for their discipline and self-control. They were not prone to the excesses of other mercenaries, and were respected for their professionalism and honor. Their loyalty to the Byzantine emperor was unwavering, and they were considered some of the most valuable and reliable troops in the Byzantine army. Tuareg warriors, also known as the Blue Men of the Desert, were a nomadic people who lived in the Sahara Desert for centuries. They were primarily pastoralists and traders, but were also known for their military prowess. Tuareg warriors were skilled horsemen and could travel long distances across the harsh desert terrain. They were also skilled marksmen and used weapons such as spears, swords, and daggers to defend themselves and their communities. Tuareg warriors were organized into clans or tribes, and each tribe had its own leader. They often engaged in intertribal warfare and raids on caravans, which were a common target for their attacks. However, they also formed alliances with neighboring tribes when necessary to protect their communities. The Tuareg were known for their distinctive indigo robes and headwraps, which protected them from the harsh sun and sandstorms of the desert. They also wore jewelry and other adornments made from silver and other metals. Tuareg culture placed a high value on hospitality, and guests were treated with great respect and generosity. Tuareg warriors played a significant role in the history of the Saharan region, and their influence can still be seen in the modern day. While their nomadic lifestyle has become more difficult to maintain due to modernization and political conflicts, they continue to hold on to their cultural traditions and identity. Bengal Lancers were among the most famous and respected cavalry units of the British Indian Army. They were recruited from the Bengal region of India, which is now modern-day Bangladesh and West Bengal state of India. The unit was established in 1858 after the Indian Rebellion of 1857, which was a major armed uprising against British colonial rule in India. Bengal Lancers were renowned for their bravery, horsemanship, and fighting skills. They were expert horsemen and were able to ride their horses at high speeds while wielding their lances and swords. They were also trained in a variety of military tactics and maneuvers, making them a formidable force on the battlefield. The Bengal Lancers wore a distinctive uniform that consisted of a red tunic and a white turban. Their uniform was designed to provide protection from the sun and heat of the Indian subcontinent. They carried a lance and a sword, which were their primary weapons. The lance was used for charging at enemy lines, while the sword was used for close combat. Bengal Lancers were involved in several major military campaigns, including the Anglo-Afghan War and the Second Boer War. They also played a crucial role in the defense of India during World War I. Despite being disbanded in 1922, the legacy of the Bengal Lancers lives on as a symbol of the bravery and fighting spirit of the soldiers who served in the unit. Prussian Hussars were a key component of the Prussian army and had a unique and distinguished appearance. Their fur hats, known as the inquat, colpax, and quat, were tall and cylindrical, and made of black sheepskin or other furs. The tunic was usually a bright color such as red, blue, or green, and was decorated with gold braids and lace. The knee-high boots were made of black leather and had spurs for the horsemen. The distinctive uniform of the Hussars was a symbol of their status and reputation as elite warriors. In addition to their striking appearance, Prussian Hussars were known for their expertise in cavalry tactics. They were trained to fight both as light cavalry and heavy cavalry, depending on the needs of the battle. Their sabers were curved and designed for slashing, while their pistols were used for firing at the enemy during a charge. The lance, which was a long spear, was used to take down enemy cavalry and infantry. During the Napoleonic Wars, Prussian Hussars played a crucial role in several battles, including the Battle of Waterloo. Their skill and bravery helped to turn the tide of the battle in favor of the Allied forces. Hussars also fought in the Austro-Prussian War, which marked a turning point in the history of the Prussian kingdom. The legacy of the Prussian Hussars lives on today in the traditions of modern cavalry units, who continue to train in the tactics and skills developed by these elite warriors. Their bravery, discipline, and expertise in battle have inspired countless soldiers throughout history, and their reputation as fearless fighters will forever be remembered. The Black Army of Hungary was a formidable force in the late medieval period, known for their ferocity and effectiveness in battle. Led by the famous general Matthias Corvinus, the Black Army was composed of soldiers from different ethnic backgrounds and nationalities, united under the banner of the Hungarian crown. They were recruited from various parts of the Kingdom of Hungary, including Croatia, Serbia, and Transylvania. The Black Army was renowned for its discipline and organization, and its soldiers were among the best trained mercenaries of their time. They were equipped with the latest military technology of the day, including firearms and artillery, which gave them an edge over their enemies. The Black Army also had a well-developed logistics system, which allowed them to maintain their military operations over long distances and extended periods. The Black Army's distinctive black uniform earned them their name and was designed to intimidate their enemies. It included a black tunic and trousers, a black cloak, and a black hat adorned with a white egret feather. The soldiers also wore black boots and carried a variety of weapons, including swords, pikes, and crossbows. The Black Army played a significant role in several Hungarian military campaigns, including the fight against the Ottoman Empire. They were instrumental in defeating the Ottoman army in the Battle of Bredfield in 1479, which secured Hungary's borders for several years. The Black Army also fought in several other campaigns in Italy, Bohemia, and Poland, and their reputation as fierce fighters spread throughout Europe. Despite their success, the Black Army was eventually disbanded due to financial difficulties and political instability in Hungary. However, their legacy lived on, and they remain a symbol of the Hungarian military prowess and national identity. The Ottoman Janissaries were not only a formidable military force, but also a powerful political institution in the Ottoman Empire. They were considered the elite of the Ottoman military, and were heavily involved in the politics of the empire. The Janissary Corps was founded in the late 14th century, and quickly became the dominant military force in the Ottoman Empire. The process of becoming a Janissary was rigorous and demanding. Young boys were taken from their families, usually as a form of tribute or taxation, and were then trained in the ways of Islam and military skills. They were taught to read and write, and were trained in a variety of weapons and tactics. The training was intense and often brutal, with discipline being enforced through harsh punishments. Despite their origins as Christian boys, Janissaries were fiercely loyal to the Ottoman Empire and Islam. They saw themselves as the defenders of the faith and the protectors of the Ottoman state. Janissaries were not only skilled in warfare, but also in various crafts and trades. They were involved in everything from metalworking to baking, and played an important role in the economy of the Ottoman Empire. The Janissary Corps was a powerful political force in the Ottoman Empire, and played a significant role in the politics of the empire. They were often involved in palace intrigue and power struggles, and were known for their ability to influence the decisions of the Sultan. However, their power became a threat to the Ottoman state, and in 1826 the Janissary Corps was abolished by Sultan Mahmud II in a violent purge known as the Auspicious Incident. The French musketeers were initially established as a company of light cavalry in 1622, but soon evolved into an elite unit of soldiers who served as the king's personal bodyguards. They were hand-picked for their physical prowess, exceptional marksmanship, and swordsmanship skills. The musketeers were trained to use their muskets to deadly effect at long range, and to engage in close combat with their swords when necessary. They were also skilled in using pistols, bayonets, and other weapons. Their distinctive uniform was designed to be both practical and stylish. It included a blue tunic, a plumed hat, and knee-high boots. The tunic was fitted with pockets for ammunition, and the hat was adorned with a distinctive feather that identified the wearer's rank. Musketeers were also issued with a leather baldric to carry their sword, and a sash to hold their pistol. Musketeers were required to maintain strict discipline, and were subject to harsh penalties for any violations. They were expected to be chivalrous, courteous, and obedient to their superiors. They were also expected to be faithful to their comrades, and to never abandon one another in battle. This code of honor was embodied in their famous motto, and quat, all for one, and one for all, and quat, which became synonymous with the musketeers and their legendary camaraderie. Overall, the French musketeers were renowned for their courage, loyalty, and martial skills, and played an important role in many of France's military campaigns. They were not only respected by their allies and feared by their enemies, but also admired by people around the world for their romanticized portrayal in literature and film. The Teutonic Knights, also known as the Order of Brothers of the German House of St. Mary in Jerusalem, were established in the 12th century during the Crusades. Their mission was to provide medical care and protection to Christian pilgrims traveling to the Holy Land. However, they later became a powerful military order, engaging in conquest and conversion of pagan territories in the Baltic region. The Teutonic Knights were known for their strict code of chivalry and piety, which emphasized obedience, discipline, and humility. They were also skilled in engineering and architecture, building castles and fortifications as they expanded their territory. The Knights fought in numerous battles, including the Battle of Grunwald in 1410, where they suffered a crushing defeat against the Polish-Lithuanian forces. They also played a significant role in the Northern Crusades, which aimed to conquer and convert the Baltic pagans to Christianity. In addition to their military prowess, the Teutonic Knights were also involved in humanitarian work, such as establishing hospitals and caring for the sick and needy. The order still exists today as a charitable organization, focusing on healthcare and social welfare. Timurid warriors were a fearsome force in the army of Timur, the Turco-Mongol conqueror who built an empire in Central Asia and Persia in the 14th century. They were highly skilled in mounted archery and swordsmanship, and were known for their ferocity in battle. Timurid warriors wore a distinctive armor that combined chainmail and scales, which provided protection without sacrificing mobility. They also wore helmets that were adorned with crests, feathers, or horns, which helped to intimidate their enemies. In addition to their armor, Timurid warriors carried a variety of weapons that allowed them to fight in different situations. They carried curved swords, such as the shamshir or the khalij, which were well suited for slashing attacks on horseback. They also carried powerful composite bows that could shoot arrows accurately at long distances, and javelins that they could throw while charging towards the enemy. Timurid warriors played a significant role in several military campaigns led by Timur, including the conquest of Persia, which involved several decisive battles against the armies of the Ilkhanate and the Mamluks. They were also involved in the campaigns against the Delhi Sultanate and the Ottoman Empire, which expanded Timur's territory and influence. Overall, Timurid warriors were a formidable force that helped to establish Timur as one of the most successful conquerors in history. That's all for today. Thank you for watching. Subscribe our channel and see you in next episodes.